Alright, here we go. Back again. Alright, and today it is Friday, so it's the Friday fix, right? You ready? Good. Anyway, I've been away longer than planned, but I am back now, and I will touch on it at the end of this video. But due to my cat being in an accident and my eldest son being taken unwell, I've been away. But yeah, like I said, I'm back, okay? And everything's all good, getting better, great stuff. But speaking of my teenage son, I thought we could get started with this. And I'm sure, just like my teenage son, the majority of teenage boys are addicted to gaming or computer games. And this is from BBC News 20 hours ago. Gaming hero retires at 23 due to ill health. And he's saying it's now having an effect physically and mentally. And he's now experiencing mental health problems. And yeah, there's no wonder, because the gaming and excessive gaming, well, it's dangerous stuff. But if you ask online, does gaming affect your mental health? It says that research suggests that gaming may have positive effects on children's cognitive and social skills. Right, even though gaming disorder is not widespread, people should be aware of the amount of time that they spend playing games. Sometimes excessive gaming can mask other issues, such as depression or anxiety. Right, sure. So it doesn't create them problems like depression or anxiety, it just masks them. Yeah, sure. And if you believe that, you'll probably believe anything. And we'll get back to gaming another time. But moving on from that, the 5G rollout continues, as you can see. And this is from Devon Live. Plan for 5G mobile phone mast at Exeter Shopping Centre. Hip hip hooray. I'm sure the people of Exeter will be absolutely delighted with that, right? And in terms of the 5G, this is from the Telegraph yesterday. Who wins if Hawaii loses, right? So if Hawaii don't get the deal, that doesn't mean no 5G. Of course it doesn't. The infrastructure's being put into place. It just means that someone else will fill their shoes, of course. And this is from the Times. Japanese company enters 5G talks as Hawaii doubts grow. Right, so there's plenty other people to fill their shoes, that's for sure. And it's coming no matter what. And as we see, the infrastructure, the rollout continues even in shopping centres now. And moving on in terms of other news, and this is from Markets Insider 19 hours ago. Bloomberg expects Bitcoin to double to 20,000 this year. Right, and they're saying that something would have to go seriously wrong for it not to happen. And like I reported on months ago, this year we'll see the cryptocurrency being the only winner when it comes to cash and things like Bitcoin. And speaking of cryptocurrency, our good friend, our pal, Joe Rogan, he's in the news again, right? Another Mason, of course. And it says, Joe Rogan just gave millions of Google Chrome users a reason to quit. Huh. Now that sounds pretty cool, of course. But yeah, he's obviously playing a role like he always does, and they all do. These millionaires, of course. And it says that this week, podcaster Joe Rogan, who has recently been thrust into the limelight after he signed a major deal with streaming service Spotify, revealed he uses the cryptocurrency-powered Chrome rival Brave to avoid internet ads and Google's overzealous tracking. Wow. So yeah, he's not saying that it's a bad thing or anything like that. he's just using Google's rival, Brave. So there you go. Of course, our good pal Joe is playing his role really well at the moment. Hence why he's getting all his millions and millions, of course. And speaking of millions and millions, our good friend Elon, he's never far away. And it says, this is from NDTV, Elon Musk says, time to break up Amazon, right? So, him and his pal Jeff, the two billionaires, one of them a trillionaire, one soon to be that as well, are falling out. Of course, it's all theatre, and they're best of friends, no doubt about it. And speaking of Jeff, US billionaires' wealth soars during pandemic. Damn straight. And we reported on this before, but it's in the news again constantly, and they continue to make money as we speak during a pandemic, of course. And this is Business Insider. American billionaires have gotten $500 billion richer during the pandemic, but the country's racial wealth gap has grown too. Yep, had to get that in there, didn't they? Sure. And speaking of wealth, right, that brings me on to this guy here from one day ago in The Guardian. And it says, pandemic is a chance to reset global economy, says Prince Charles, our hero, royalty of course, who I have no time for whatsoever, just to add. And of course, Prince Charles, like the rest of our buddies, he's a multi-millionaire. Of course he is. And they reckon he's worth about 400 million. But that doesn't include all his properties, of course. And yeah, he had coronavirus. Would you believe it? And speaking of millions, our good friends AstraZeneca, well, yeah, they've been in the news again. And it says, AstraZeneca take aim at RNA modifiers in $55 million cancer pact. Wow. Now what's RNA, you might say? Well, RNA vaccine or mRNA vaccine is a novel type of vaccine for providing acquired immunity through an RNA containing vector such as lipid nanoparticles. Right? Sounds absolutely fantastic, doesn't it? And to expand on that a bit, currently there are no RNA vaccines approved for human use. RNA vaccines offer multiple advantages over DNA vaccines in terms of production, administration and safety, right, and have been shown to be promising in clinical trials involving humans. RNA vaccines are also thought to have the potential to be used for cancer in addition to infectious diseases. Multiple companies including CureVac and Moderna, right, surprise surprise, work in the development of RNA vaccines, and a number of RNA vaccines are under development to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. Right, sure. So yeah, that's RNA vaccines. And by the sounds of it, that's the future when it comes to vaccines. And it's nanoparticles. Of course it is. And yeah, that's the way it's going. We'll get back to that. But in terms of AstraZeneca, they're in the news every 10 minutes now. And this is from today, 12 hours ago, in The Guardian. AstraZeneca doubles capacity for potential COVID-19 vaccine to 2 billion doses. Right, so last week we reported on these dudes and it was 1 billion doses. And now it's 2 billion doses. And next week it'll probably be 3 billion doses. And yeah, you'll get the picture, but for sure it's coming. There's no doubt about it. Even if COVID disappears, this vaccine is coming for sure. And yeah, it most likely will be mandatory. and we'll touch on the vaccine again. But I was going to do a video on this, and this is a report that's come out from the Lancet, and it's on the first trials, the vaccine trials on patients, on humans, sorry. And yeah, I didn't get round to it, so what I will do is link this report in the description, and you can check it out yourselves. No one died, but yeah, a lot of people did get ill, some quite bad, and yeah, it's dangerous stuff. And just finally on the vaccine, I seen this made me laugh, and it's from The Economist 17 hours ago. The quest for a vaccine could restore faith in Big Pharma. Wow, right, yeah, sure, I'm sure it will. It'll be fantastic. And Big Pharma, of course, they will be the heroes. And people like Bill Gates, he'll be our hero. Great stuff. And moving on from that, and all of this week, we have been treated to the SpaceX and NASA theatre show, as always. And last week in the Friday Fix, we reported on it. It didn't go because of the weather, so it was a fail. But it's gone now, and yeah, they've sent people up to the space station, right? It's not to the moon, although you'd think it was, but it's not. So still, no one has been to the moon. But this is from the Geek Wire 5 days ago. Like this candle, SpaceX sends NASA astronauts on historic trip to space station. Hip hip hooray. Talk about a distraction, right? I mean, this is the year of distraction, surely. And I've also seen this. Read the email SpaceX President Gwen Shotwell sent to employees after Demo 2 success, police brutality, protests, right? So yeah, they've obviously got a role to play as well. And yeah, they couldn't help but stick their nose in to the protests, and we'll touch on them in a sec. But in terms of the launch, well, I didn't watch it. I didn't get a chance, but it's always good for a laugh. And yeah, it didn't disappoint, as always. And in the live stream, something got spotted moving on one of the boosters. And people are saying it's a mouse, or possibly a rat. I would say a rat, because it's fitting, because that's NASA and SpaceX getting ratted out. Of course, because it's all deception, no doubt about it. But yeah, that's on YouTube, so just type in Space Mouse and you'll find it straight away. Yeah, that's SpaceX all over. They've been ratted in, of course. And moving on from that, and in terms of the protests, well, it continues still. And this is from the Washington Post 3 days ago. Mass protests and mayhem continue into a sixth night, and it's nationwide now, right across America, right across the world, like we reported on before. And yeah, it continues, and a lot of it, of course, they say that it's for justice, but at the same time, the 3 police officers involved, well, they've been arrested and they've been charged, right? So is that not justice? Well, it's obviously not enough. But of course, that's not what the rioting is about. And it's all manipulation, like we touched on before. And this is from Cleveland.com 17 hours ago. Attorney seeks injunction to end Cleveland's curfews and imposition of martial law. Because a lot of places now it is martial law. And we said months ago that we could end up with martial law. And this was before the incident with George Floyd. The setup, of course, and as you can see from this article, which is from themilitarytimes.com, will coronavirus lead to martial law? And this is from the 17th of March 2020. Right, so the conditioning's been there. And like I said, we reported on it months ago that martial law was likely to come at some point. And especially in America now, it's heating up big time. and we'll get back to the riots again. But in terms of George Floyd, would you believe it, right? He actually tested positive for COVID. He had coronavirus. What a surprise. So you'd imagine that the police officers who arrested him, or killed him even, would also now have COVID. But of course they won't, because that is not how you catch a virus. Like we've said before, germ theory versus terrain theory. Check it out, and yeah, I'll link it in, okay? And we'll leave the riots, like I said, and we'll get back to that. But I did also see this in the news this week, and I'm sure yous have all seen these in the sky. Yep, we know what these are, that's for sure. And what I'm getting into is this. And if we go back to 2018, Business Insider, Harvard scientists to release chemicals into sky. And this is to, of course, cool the earth because of, yep, global warming, of course. And here's another one from Forbes, same year. Harvard scientists begin experiment to block out the sun. Hip hip hooray. It's just what we've always wanted, right? And of course, it's back in the news again, right? And this is from Bloomberg, June 3rd, 2020. The fast, cheap and scary way to cool the planet. Right, sounds fantastic, doesn't it? And it says, congratulations, you've done everything humanly possible to cut carbon dioxide to zero. But what if even that won't be enough? Oh dear. So all that effort, all that recycling, yep, it was a waste of time, I'm afraid. Because this is coming and this is going to happen no matter what. And let's face it, it's already been happening. But to touch on this a bit more, it says that this is the premise of solar geoengineering via stratospheric aerosols. It's fast. Unlike cutting CO2, adding SO2 cools the earth within weeks, not decades. It's powerful. Millions of tons of SO2 could help offset the global warming effects of hundreds of billions of tons of CO2. It's also highly imperfect and risky. It's akin to adding one type of pollution, SO2, to help counter the effects of another pollutant, CO2. Right, think of it as an experimental drug taken in a pandemic, right? It might show promise, but watch out for unknown side effects. And I kid you not, I did not make that up. It genuinely says that. And it then says, it's only a matter of time before pressure will increase to do just that in terms of the project. Regardless of how fast the world slashes CO2 emissions with more frequent extreme heat and weather, it's not hard to foresee conditions miserable enough to make an attempt at a little relief seem worth the risk to some. Limited research is already making one thing clear. Solar geoengineering isn't only technically feasible, it's a bargain. Hip hip hooray, all systems are go. Of course, it's cheap, it's easy, and now it's fast. I reported months ago on this and they said that it would take about a decade. Well, fast forward to now and they're saying it'll take weeks. But of course, yeah, it's been happening for a very, very long time. Possibly for the past 20 years. And all you have to do is look up into the sky. It's as simple as that. And if you can't see it, then I'm sorry, but you're going to have to go and get your eyes tested, right? And we'll get back to that again. Because this is something that is certainly not going away anytime soon, I'm afraid, unless we can put an end to it. And yeah, hopefully we can. But in terms of other news at the moment in the UK, it's all about this. And as you can see, a couple of days ago, they were reporting that a concrete development in the Madeline McCann case. Right. And I have reported on this saga, the McCann saga before, but there was a concrete development this week, and then they arrested a suspect. As you can see, Madeline McCann's suspect fantasized about kidnapping. So this guy sure does fit the bill, and this is a German national who's been charged. And also today, they're now saying, BBC News, Madeline McCann assumed dead by German prosecutors. Right, so they're now saying that she's dead. And this is from the Times. Let's hope this is an end of the McCann's ordeal. So in less than a week, they went from a concrete development to a suspect being charged into Madeline being dead, and that being the end of it. Right, of course that won't be the end of it. Far from it. And I made this video, as you can see, 3 months ago. And it is Jerry McCann a Freemason? And yeah, I certainly think he is, without a doubt. And in that video, we touched on quite a few things, but mostly the money. Because all you have to do is follow the money. And in terms of money, well, the McCanns ain't short of a few quid, that's for sure. And as you can see, only this year, Madeline McCann police ask for more cash in 12 million hunt for missing girl. Yep, and it's well into the millions. Books deals, TV deals, Netflix deals, you name it. Right, it goes on, like I said. And I will link in the video about the McCanns. And as you can see from last year, Madeline McCann's parents are saving £85,000 in royalties. Oh, ain't that great, eh? How fitting that they would be getting all this money, right? Well, their daughter did go missing, so I suppose that makes sense. And as you can see here, a company set up by Kate and Jerry McCann to fund the search for their daughter has had a boost in profits. And this is a multi-millionaire. What's his name? His name is Brian Kennedy, Edinburgh tycoon Brian Kennedy, who once tried to buy Rangers and Hibs, that's football clubs in Scotland, if you don't know of them, and you might not, who has donated to the fund to help find Maddie, right? And this guy watched the documentary and then donated to the fund. So even if they didn't make money from that documentary, they certainly did in terms of the people who watched it, because the donations came flooding in. Happy days, right? And of course, it doesn't stop there. And this is from 2007. McCann's used 1 million fund to pay mortgage. Of course they did, right? I mean, they're blatant criminals. It's clear as day, really, for me at least. And all you have to do is follow the money, like I said. And yeah, of course, their kid went missing, so we're told. So they're getting all this money. But in reality, the amount of children that go missing in the UK and worldwide is absolutely staggering. And it's unbelievable, really. Yet none of their parents get a penny. They get nothing. Yet the McCanns, well, they're on Oprah. Of course they are. Yeah, just like every other parent of a kid that's went missing. They get all these millions and they end up on Oprah. Of course they don't. Right? Alarm bells should be fucking ringing for sure. And I did also cover this. And it was the rare eye condition that Madeline had, or has, seemingly. And of course, our buddy, he also has it. This guy here. No, wait a minute, not him. Yeah, well, kinda is him. It looks like him, but it's actually him. Of course, it's George Soros. He also has the strange eye deformity that is the same as Madeline McCann. Just a coincidence, of course. And I did come across an article that also pointed to this. And it is, of course, the chip agenda. This is also linked in to the Madeline McCann case. There's always more than one agenda when it comes to these elite and Masonic powers, that's for sure. And I'll link this article in, and it says that at this juncture, an unfortunately common tragedy of modern life will occur. A small child, likely a photogenic toddler, will be murdered or horrifically abused. It will happen in one of the media capitals of the Western world, thereby ensuring non-stop, breathless coverage. Chip manufacturers will recognise this as the opportunity they have been anticipating for many years. With their technology now largely bug-free, familiar to most citizens, and comparatively inexpensive, manufacturers will partner with the police to launch a high-profile campaign encouraging parents to implant their children to ensure your own peace of mind. Right. It then says, if your child could wear an implant, a microchip that could tell a computer where he or she was at any time to within a few meters, would you buy it? After the horrific snatch of 3-year-old Madeline McCann from her bed in Portugal, the answer from many parents seems to be yes. Professor Kevin Warwick, who developed the technology that made it possible for the first child in Britain to volunteer to be chipped in 2002, after the murders of Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman, has been bombarded with emails over the past few days from parents desperate to keep tabs on their children. As we talk, another email drops into his inbox from a mother of 2 young children who says that she is deeply anxious about Madeline's disappearance and wants to know more about the chip technology. I'm sure she does. So you can see exactly how the disappearance of Madeline plays its part in terms of the chip agenda. And of course it mentions Holly and Jessica Chapman and Wells. And of course that is a very suspicious case as well. And maybe we'll get into that another time. But in terms of Jerry, like I said, I'm pretty sure, I'm adamant almost, that he is a Freemason. And there is some signs or clues even there. And this was from one of the flowers that were laid down when Madeline had went missing. And it of course is from the Grand Priory Knights Templar. Of course. And they are a branch of Freemasonry. And you can only join them. You can only join the Knights Templar if you're already a Freemason. And you have to be a Christian. And of course, that's what Jerry McCann is. But hey, that'll be a coincidence, right? And something that is definite is the money always continues for the McCanns. It just comes in every year, constantly. Millions and millions. It goes on. And of course, it's all heading one way now that it's all been concluded. And that is to Hollywood, a blockbuster movie. That's what will be next for the McCanns. And again, they'll get richer and richer, right? Just like every other parent of a child that's went missing. They end up in Hollywood, of course, right? I'm sure. Anyway, we will leave Jerry, the McCanns even, for the time being. But yeah, they will be back. And that I have no doubt about. And just finally, I did see this in terms of news. And yeah, this gave me a good laugh. And it's from physics.org, so you know it's true. And it says that black holes, ? They are like a hologram. Would you believe it? What's next? Are they going to tell us that Mars is a hologram? Or Saturn is a hologram? Right? Who knows? You just never know with NASA. anything could be next, for sure. And yeah, that's about it for the Friday fix. And like I said, my son he will be back on Monday from hospital, so that's all good there. And in terms of my cat, Marsh, well, she just needs about 6 weeks recovery. And she's a very outgoing cat, so she's not very happy at the moment because she's in a cage, of course. She needs rest. So yeah, it's been a bit of a eventful few days. But yeah, we're back on the roller coaster now. And yeah, that's what life's like, a roller coaster. But unfortunately, you don't know what the track is going to be like. It could be dangerous. But hey, you've just got to get back on and continue the ride. And that's life, I suppose. But just finally, before I go, I do also want to thank everyone who has subscribed. And everyone who has been sending very kind messages and kind comments in regards to my cat and my son. So thank you very much. Anyway, that is about it. Bye-bye.